discussion on revoking Article 370, did the Supreme Court make the right call? So, today we will be discussing about the various aspects of Article 370 and its history. So, for years, Jammu and Kashmir have enjoyed special privileges with Article 370. However, with this monumental decision by the Supreme Court, the state of Jammu and Kashmir will see a different future now. On December 11, a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court unanimously upheld the power of the president to repeal Article 370 that had come into effect in 2019. This decision has led to the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories and the revoking of states' special privileges. The court said that the court there is disturbance. The court said that the abrogation of Article 370 was the culmination of a gradual and collaborative exercise spread over the past 70 years between the state and the center to integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the union. The objective of the integration process was to make the entirety of the rights and obligations enshrined in the Indian Constitution applicable to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So today we have with us Advocate Rohit Singh. He is a distinguished commercial lawyer based in Delhi NCR with over 8 years of experience specializing in commercial disputes. He has represented in various courts and forums like Supreme Court of India, Delhi High Court, National Consumer Forum, etc. And he has successfully taken over 750 plus cases, showcasing his expertise and commitment in navigating complex legal landscapes to deliver effective solutions to his clients. Next up, we have Advocate M.K. Katiyar, who is an experienced technology lawyer based in Delhi with over 5 years of experience in various legal matters like bail, dishonor of checks, money recovery, consumer, family, matrimonial, dispute, intellectual properties, and much more. He has practiced in several courts of Delhi. So, welcome to the panel discussion, Advocate Rohit and Advocate Mohit.
Welcome.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
So, how are you all doing today?
Very well. Thank you so much for having us over.
Yes. So we'll begin with and yes, finally we have our CEO Shreya Sharma. Uh, he is the CEO of Rest the Case. He is a lawyer, mediator, and founder of Rest the Case. How, her vision is to make a one-stop solution for all things legal in India. He has studied law at Cardiff University, Wales. She has founded this platform to make legal solutions and information accessible to all, no matter how big or small the problem is. So, before we begin with the panel discussion, I would like to show our audience a video of Rest the Case. Welcome to the panel discussion.
Rest the Case is a legal aggregator platform. A one-stop solution for all services and information. If you have any legal troubles, want a legal service, or need to consult a legal expert, we can help you. Speak with our registered lawyers available in over 200 plus cities. To consult a lawyer, you can sign up or contact us. Click on Find Lawyer, and filter lawyers by specialization, location, or even PIN code. Get contact details of lawyers instantly and contact the lawyers on the website, call, or email. To speak to our team, call us at 928-429-3610 or drop us an email at info@recase.com. If you are not looking for a lawyer, you can browse through our knowledge bank to get legal tips, learn about laws in a simplified manner, and stay updated on legal news. That's not all. Check out our extensive library of document templates to access legal drafts. Just select the template you want, Fill out your details and download it to use. In case of any queries, contact us at 928-429-3610 or info@recase.com.
Hello, I hope I'm audible to everyone now.
Yeah, yeah, now you are.
Yeah. Advocate Mohit, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So we'll begin with the questions
Yes,
now.
hello.
So my first question, yeah. So my first question to all of you is, if we want to understand Article 370 in simple terms, can you all explain it to our audience what Article 370 means?
Yeah, so basically, I would throw some light on this particular subject. Basically, Article 370 was a new introduction. See, for this to be understood, foremost, I guess we have to take all the audience back into our time of independence when India got independence, and it was their hue and cry was all over the place with respect to who's going to stay with India, which states are going to have an autonomous bodies and having a separate state of their own, and which states are going to join Pakistan. So this entire subject started around that, and it was somewhere between that entire conclusion when we were coming to a conclusion. It happened that 370 was introduced only for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So why this happened? So this happened because Jammu and Kashmir, as we very well know, is the most favorite state of both the neighbors, that is India and Pakistan. So India and Pakistan had been in tussle with respect to Kashmir as such, and that is why, with respect to Kashmir, there has been a lot of wars, including Kargil, etc. So that was the time when this need arose that okay, fine, let's keep Kashmir as a common entity, and let this be, that state be a common entity and have an autonomous body of its own, have its own constitution, have its own special privileges. So it's basically Article 370 is nothing but the special privilege that has been granted to a particular state, which is obviously not there with the rest of the states and UTs of India. Now, what gets covered under 370 is the second question that will interest the audience. So, the special privileges that are given is that they have their own assembly, they have their own set of rules and laws. Does that mean that our Indian Parliament is not having the rights to make laws with respect to Jammu Kashmir? In a certain way, yes. And why I say so? Because even if the Parliament passes some law, it doesn't get applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir for the simple reason that unless they give their consent, it will not be applicable to their state. So that is the special privilege that has been given to Jammu and Kashmir, and the reason was that they always had this extra privilege that they were the most beautiful state or one of the most beautiful states of India, which was being eyed by both the countries. So they were, in order to keep it with India, we gave them this privilege that okay, fine, you can have your own autonomous constituent assembly, you can have your own set of laws, you can have your own set of rights and privileges. Even the Constitution of India, I would say for that matter, will not be applicable to them to a very greater extent. So all the directive principles of state policy, all the rights and duties, everything that is there, the rights and obligations in toto will not be applicable to the state unless and until they give their consent to the same.
Yeah. Advocate Mohit, would you like to add something to this? Hello, Advocate Mohit, are you able to hear me? Hello. Okay. So moving on to our next question. Um, what was the Supreme Court's take on this matter? Like, how did Supreme Court view this Article 370, and what all things they considered for for
Yeah.
their verdict? Yeah.
So basically, see, in order to understand Supreme Court judgment, I yet again take you back one step, wherein I say that for that you need to understand what the petitioners had to say in this.
Mm.
So, in order to understand what their contentions was, it's literally impossible that somebody can understand and contemplate what the Supreme Court had to say. So, the petitioners under this subject of 370, they had major 5 points, right? And the day we understand these 5 points, we will understand what the Supreme Court had to say on this. So,
Yeah.
starting on with the point number one, that is their first contention was that Article 370, subclause 3 gives the right to the state of Jammu and Kashmir that unless their constituent assembly gives the consent,
Mm-hmm.
no law shall be applicable on them.
Yeah.
With respect to this special provision under 370 subclause 3, they simply said that where is the consent? Where did you take the consent from us? That's the
Yeah.
question number one. The question number two said was that they said that we had been given at the time of when the instrument of assertion was signed with the state of Jammu and Kashmir, with respect to which the 370 was applicable, that they were given a special privilege and power
Mm.
with respect to the laws. So at the time of signing of this instrument of assertion, they thought or they believed and they contended that they have gotten external and internal sovereignty. Now, what is external and internal sovereignty? With external sovereignty means that India and the Indian Parliament has the right to make all the laws with respect to the external affairs. With external, they mean except or barring Jammu and Kashmir.
Mm.
However, with respect to the Jammu and Kashmir part or the Jammu and Kashmir state, they said you don't have a right to make any laws with respect to Jammu and Kashmir unless and until our constituent assembly gives a consent to the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, coming on to the part number three, they said there is no consent. No state consent was given with respect to such things, and it was all an abrupt decision that one fine day the president of India signed the revocation order, and it was abrogated in a jiffy. So that
Mm.
couldn't be the case. Now, coming on to the fourth part, that is, they said governor cannot dissolve the cabinet of ministers without the consent. So, if you understand Article 370, we would say that the day this 370 is revoked, their entire assembly, their entire parliament, their entire body, constituent body who's making all the laws for the internal affairs of Jammu Kashmir got ended overnight. So
Yeah.
they said, how come the governor was given the powers to dissolve the cabinet
Mm.
without the consent? And with whose authority this happened?
Mm.
Now, next up is the major reason what the parliament proposed and the Indian government proposed with respect to 370 is that they want to unite the entire nation,
Mm.
that the unity is getting affected by a certain state having special authorities, special autonomous entities. So they said no, nothing doing. We'll unite the country, and what for that to happen, this 370 has to be revoked. So
Mm.
no particular state has a special power. That was their main bone of contention. Now these 5 points were proposed by the petitioner before the Supreme Court, which was to be answered. Now,
Yeah.
the answer the Supreme Court gave with respect to them was threefold. They said not everything has to be answered in point-wise manner. It's just that three things we'll answer, and that will suffice the purpose. The
Mm.
first thing that the Supreme Court said that at the time of signing the instrument of assertion, it obtained an autonomous entity, not a sovereign entity. And there
Mm.
is no question with respect to internal and external sovereignty. So with autonomous entity, we meant that yeah, you can have your own state, you can enjoy your own state, you can rule your own state, and you can have your own set of laws and everything. But with sovereignty, it was never the point. With respect to laws, that was never the point.
Mm.
The entire bone of contention here the Supreme Court dejected was that there is nothing with respect to internal and external sovereignty that is being challenged there, and we are
Mm.
not listening to the same. We are
Mm.
simply saying that you are misunderstanding the concept of autonomous and sovereignty. You were given an
Mm.
autonomous state, you were
Mm.
never given a sovereign state.
Yeah.
The second thing it was said is that the order was valid and there is nothing unconstitutional with respect to the order that was passed with respect to the abrogation of Article 370. See,
Yeah.
there is nothing unconstitutional about it. And the
Mm-hmm.
third thing they said that regarding the non-permanent nature of 370. So, see what has happened. They simply said, the petitioner simply said that 370 was to remain forever, right? It was permanent in nature. So how could you just change it overnight? You
Mm-hmm.
can't just say that one fine day 370 is not applicable. Supreme Court said this is completely out of bounds, and we completely deny that this has any permanent nature. Now, this entire provision regarding the permanent provision again takes us to the case of Keshav Nanda Bharti. Now, in the case of Keshav Nanda Bharti, which is we all know that is a landmark judgment, and in
Mm-hmm.
that judgment, it was well settled that any part of the law, the government of India has the power and and they have all the entitlement to pass any law with respect to the entire nation, provided it does not change the basic structure of the constitution. Now the case before the Supreme Court is, does this revocation of 370 changes the basic structure of the constitution? 370 was never a part of the basic structure of the constitution.
Yeah.
So then they said that how come, as per Keshav Nanda Bharti judgment, how come the basic structure is being affected? And
Yeah.
until the basic structure is being affected, the government has all the powers to make all the rules and all the revocations, all the amendments with respect to the entire nation, which
Yeah.
has no bar. So that is where this picture came into play. That they decided that there is nothing unconstitutional with respect to revocation of 370. It is well within the rights of the government to make laws, revisions, re-revisions, ordinances, and everything with respect to the nation, including this union.
Yeah.
That is basically the orders.
Yeah, but like basically, Supreme Court said that Article 370 was a temporary thing that they had done
Yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, what were the political parties' reaction when this verdict came out, apart from the petitioners?
See, obviously, we understand that we are a country which is ruled by the people. So we are democratic. Everybody has a right. Then we have another right to have associations. So under those articles, yes, there are political parties. Yes, there is another angle that has been put into the picture. But I would say that is just to somehow blur the image of the government, that is the ruling party. And I will not sound political in this particular manner, that I don't want to support a particular group and be against a particular set of group. But yeah, I would still say that 370 was actually not benefiting the purpose of Jammu and Kashmir itself.
Hmm.
However, if we look into the picture, there have been proven points wherein three families have ruled the entire Jammu and Kashmir for its entirety. I
Yeah.
would say forever they have ruled three
Yeah.
parties. That's it. And we all know though who those three parties are.
Yeah.
There are Muftis, then there are Nehrus. So
Yeah.
these three or four parties only have ruled.
Hmm.
So we all know those three parties. So
Hmm.
I'll name it for the sake of the audience. So there is Umar Abdullah, there is Mehbooba Mufti, and then there are Nehrus.
Hmm.
These three parties have ruled it. Now, if one fine day you take the kingdom from a king, they will obviously feel bad, and they have the right to feel bad.
Yeah.
But does that say was it benefiting the purpose of Jammu and Kashmir? I'll strongly oppose it. You
Hmm.
talk about any part of, say, development. That
Hmm.
is, for example, if you take development with freedom, you go to Jammu and Kashmir and you'll realize what kind of freedom they enjoying. It is absolutely nowhere close to the freedom that is being enjoyed by the people of Delhi, UP, Gujarat, any place of the world, any place of the country, I would say, for that matter.
Hmm.
Right? We belong from different states, I believe, but we enjoy a similar kind of the freedom that
Hmm.
whenever I want, wherever I want, I can go. The
Hmm.
second thing, it's hopeless to understand that if someday my child is studying in a school, the next day that is blasted. So you
Hmm.
understand the amount of terrorism that is happening around the place. Tourism is actually the bread and butter for a state like Jammu and Kashmir. What
Yeah.
has happened with tourism in Jammu and Kashmir? Nothing happened. Had G20 not happened in Jammu and Kashmir, they would have starved to death in a couple of months. You
Hmm.
go to those places, you go to Dal Lake. In my childhood, I enjoyed the liberty to go to Jammu and Kashmir, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But now, when I go for a trip or to Jammu and Kashmir, the beauty is actually being tarnished because nobody can maintain it from
Hmm.
their own pockets. So the tourism funds it. But
Mm.
instead of tourism, now terrorism is funding the state of
Mm.
Jammu and Kashmir. So the terrorism has to end. Now I cannot buy a property in Jammu and Kashmir and build a hotel there, even if
Mm.
I want to. So now
Mm.
the entire commercial angle is dissolved. So
Yeah.
if commercial angle is dissolved, how will you bring prosperity to a country,
Yeah, definitely.
prosperity to a state?
Mm.
So I would say tourism was replaced with terrorism. Political parties were playing politics just to stay in the hunt of
Mm.
being the ultimate ruler. And for
Mm.
that very reason, I'm simply saying that the Supreme Court was not one-sided when it decided that yes, on one hand, it completely shut down all the possibilities that the petitioner should enjoy any liberty with respect to their assertion,
Mm.
the letter of assertion, but simultaneously it even give directions to
Mm.
the government, and those directions were twofold, which also we need to understand, because it was not that Supreme Court was hand in glove with the government while passing this order.
Mm.
It was completely unbiased, and that can be proven with the directions. So the directions were that Jammu and Kashmir should be given a statehood, so they should be given the state rights with immediate effect and at the earliest. That is
Mm.
the word that they use. So
Yeah.
it clearly meant that Jammu and Kashmir should not be hanging in the middle forever.
Mm.
They should be given the statehood. So with
Yeah.
statehood, we means that yes, they should have their own cabinet. Yes, they should have their own ministers. Yes, they should enjoy like all other states of the country, and they should not be hanging in the middle like a union territory. They should
Mm.
be given the statehood, and they should not be kept like a union territory. That's number
Yeah.
one. Number two, they said government should before 30th of September must ensure that the elections are conducted in the state.
Yes.
Now, the moment you conduct elections, now it's people who are ruling the people.
Mm.
The democracy is restored.
Mm.
Once, see, you have to start from somewhere.
Mm.
In order to follow the preamble, you have to start from somewhere. So the
Mm.
Supreme Court started. Let's start with the this point that we will be appointing our own ministers. Let's
Mm.
start with democracy. We are
Mm.
the largest democratic country of the world. So
Yeah.
let's start with that point only. Let's
Mm.
start with democracy, and that is what it started with. They
Mm.
said, okay, fine, let people rule their own thing, and let people make their own laws. So it starts like this: that with democracy, you will be appointing your own ministers.
Mm.
Those ministers will be thinking in the benefit of or in the interest of their own people in
Mm.
order to remain in the cabinets. So then again, the prosperity starts to pour in. So that's basically the bone of contention that the petitioners were having, which was completely nullified by the Supreme Court. And with respect to the development criteria, I would say it was rather necessary that 370 should have been revoked. Otherwise, for another 100 years, or rather in another 100 years, Jammu and Kashmir would have lost their entire beauty.
Mm.
In short,
Yeah. Now, there sometimes, yeah, even like in general sense, people have this thought ki, what if I go to visit Kashmir, but
yeah,
something happens. Even I sometimes think about it when I
true,
think of traveling to Kashmir. So as you said that the tourism, because of this terrorism, it, as you said, that has replaced, which is pretty much the thought process of many Indians, because they're very afraid to go to Kashmir and see this beautiful place because of what has happened there. So
true.
I think Article 370 is a very good step to include it in India, although there are like so many things that is going on with Pakistan and India and the land. So maybe after this, the stereotype about Kashmir and terrorism might just dissolve, and more tourism is supported
Yeah,
over there.
true.
Yeah. So, uh, coming to the here, next question, which is yeah, so there were some reports that some petitions were filed against this verdict. So, how many petitions is required to, make this a case in court against this SC verdict which came out? Like, is there a possibility that Article 370 might come again and, you know,
Okay, got your point. So, see,
yeah.
I would answer it in this way that it is number. It's not about the quantity; it's about the quality of the petition that you're putting in front of the
Okay.
judge.
Hmm.
Whether it is the Supreme Court of India or any other courts of the country.
Hmm.
So now what happens is it is not about if you have filed 100 petitions that has a far-reaching effect. Even a single good petition which bounds down the court to review its decision on merits, then that holds merit. So I
Okay.
would say somebody has to prove that the verdict that has been passed by Supreme Court lacks either merit, or there is a miscarriage of justice,
Okay.
or there is flouting of laws, or that they have gone on to read it in the wrong manner, so they have overlooked the core of the constitution. So if anything of that happens, that they say that there is an error in law or there is an error in fact, either of the two, if it is being reported before the Supreme Court that you have to review your own decision because it was bad in law, bad in the eyes of law, then most definitely the Supreme Court will take it. But not because some 100 people are filing it, or some 100 people are filing some
Yeah.
frivolous petitions. That holds no merit. Somebody has to prove that on XYZ grounds, the law has not been followed, or the constitution, the heart of the constitution is not being followed in your verdict, and something has to happen. But as far as I see it, and with all my experience, I would say that there is nothing that can actually come up. So your second
Yeah.
part of your question, that can someday 370 be restored, I would say that I am not seeing it in the near future. I am not seeing it at all, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So here's an audience question. They
Yeah.
are asking, how are the youth in Jammu and Kashmir responding to the political changes in the region's political and constitutional status? Okay.
See, now this is a very good question, that how are the people handling it?
Hmm.
So I would say we all go through the newspapers every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I, we both go. You
Yeah.
just tell me in last 1 year with respect to revocation of 370. So this happened in a very systematic manner. So
Hmm.
I would say for 1 year there was a demo that was given to the people.
Hmm.
That you see, Supreme Court did not pass the verdict in isolation.
Yeah.
So they passed the verdict looking at the broader benefit. That is one. The second is how the people will react to it and how the people will get benefited from it.
Hmm.
Right. Now, if you see from the broader perspective, obviously, like we said, the commercial side is obviously viable now. The
Hmm.
second part of the question is that how the people will take it. The people have taken it gleefully.
Hmm.
And all the newspaper clippings, if you can take from last 1 year, will prove my point, will substantiate my fact
Hmm.
that there has been peace. They
Hmm.
have been celebrating. They have been knowing that, okay, fine, we're a part of a big nation. The
Hmm.
nation is actually supporting them. They realize that, okay, fine, this is the Republic Day that is coming up.
Hmm.
So they don't know that, yes, we are one nation. We are
Hmm.
together.
Yeah.
Except for that, what did they know about the country?
Hmm.
Because they were given the special status, they always thought that we're distinct. We are an
Yeah.
autonomous entity.
Definitely.
So obviously the people are taking it very nicely.
Yeah, I had one of my classmates. So she was from Jammu, and she was very like bold about talking about these things. And one of the things she also said that we feel like different from the country, even though we are a part of India.
Yeah, that happens.
So yeah, so there's another question. So yeah, this question is answered. I think that how petitions are like, can Article 370 come back? There's another question is that now that Supreme Court has announced their verdict, how long does this take to implement it in like in the state itself? Like as you said, it is the Supreme Court said that with immediate effect they have to do this.
Yeah.
Yet, how much time, like approximately, it takes?
See, Asaduddin Avesi asked the same question
Okay.
outside the court. So what you are asking is a similar question that has been asked by a political party leader.
Huh.
So Mr. Ovesi asked this question that the Supreme Court has stated at the earliest. What is the meaning of at the earliest? See,
Hmm.
with at the earliest, it always means that the state, with state I mean that the country is not only having one particular subject,
Hmm.
it is handling a lot of subjects. So like for that matter, the biggest subject that is going to come up is the elections that are going to come up very
Yeah.
soon, right? So this in a chronological manner, now it has been decided that what is going to happen
Hmm.
now if it gets delayed beyond a reasonable period of time. So with at the earliest, or with your question, I would say in a reasonable period of time it will happen. So
Hmm.
you see, it will not happen out of order. that every single thing will be set aside, only this thing will be taken into consideration. No. If the budget has to be announced in March, that will happen first. Elections have to be taken up, that will be taken up first. Once that all is done, and yes, the government is settled, because see, an unsettled government cannot decide the fate of the country. Right now, we are in that phase that everybody is just hoping that which government comes in. So whichever government comes in, whosoever becomes the ruling party will definitely be abiding by the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court. There are no two ways to it. And there may be a scenario that I might be wrong and it might just happen in a couple of weeks' time. But granting statehood to a state, now I ask you, or I ask the questioner this particular question, the audience this question, that how much do you think, how much is good enough time if you are given the responsibility with your entire cabinet at your disposal? How much time you will take to decide the statehood, not decide, to decide the manner in which the statehood has to be granted to Jammu and Kashmir. The state like Jammu and Kashmir. How much time should be enough?
I
You're
think
deciding the fate
yeah,
of a state.
it would take time definitely because there's so many changes to be happening, like right from the ground level.
True. And you don't want another unrest to happen after this.
Yeah,
Like you've given statehood and you've made policies. Now what happens if some fine day again a Supreme Court petition is being filed that now the statehood that has been granted is all
yeah,
fluffy, is having some flaws.
yeah,
This goes on forever. And then,
yeah.
yeah, we always have to see that there's another capping that has happened.
Hmm.
The Supreme Court has very wisely stated a capping. So they did not put a capping for statehood. They put in a capping for elections. And
Hmm.
the elections cannot happen unless the statehood is being granted.
Yeah.
So it all works hand in hand. So they've given this September deadline that by September you have to hold the elections. Now you see by your own self how you want to manage it, what should be the timeline. You do it in a day, you do it in 2 days, but by September I want to see the election. If you
Hmm.
don't do it, there will be petitions that will be filed and the government will be answerable.
Yeah. Right. So, Jammu and Kashmir has been in the controversy since years now for India and Pakistan. So, now there's one audience question that how did the revocation impact the relationship between India and Pakistan?
See, India and Pakistan had been in SAR terms, not from now but from ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
The point of, or rather, I'll again use this word, bone of contention has always been with respect to Kashmir.
Hmm.
So I would say yes. If I have to be assertive, I'll say yes. There have been tensions when I would say with respect to the relations between India and Pakistan. And the similar thing was highlighted by, I believe, Mr. Abdullah, that he said that you can change the policies, but you can't change the neighbors or something like that. So he
Hmm.
similarly stated that you can't change your neighbors. But sadly, this side China and that side Pakistan, we are in a mess. That's one thing, that yes, our neighbors are not supporting us,
Yeah.
but that is always the case with prosperity. I say that when you look at relations, I would always say look at global relations. Don't look micro. Look at macro level. You see the G20 summit that
Hmm.
happened in the country. How many of us did we know about G20 before 2023? Did we
No.
know that what was the meaning of G20 summit? How
Yeah.
big is this event? What
Hmm.
happened with G20 summit? What is our external relations? What are our external relations with all other countries?
Hmm.
How the world is looking at us? How the US, these big sharks, how these people are looking at us? See, that is not easy to be the fifth largest economy, the
Hmm.
biggest democracy in the world, and to be very politically correct with everybody in the world. See, I say that you cannot please everybody,
Hmm.
and in the hunt of pleasing everybody you will lose something.
Yeah.
You will lose your own people, you'll lose the commercial side, you'll not your economy will not grow. So
Hmm.
if I want to see, I'll always see, you look at the country from inside and outside. Don't look at India and Pakistan relation in isolation.
Hmm.
See, no, I would still say we sadly live in a world where nobody is happy with other people's progress. You look at their GDP, look at our GDP, let alone GDP. You compare the net worth of Infosys, TCS, and you compare it with their GDPs. You don't compare our
Yeah.
$1 trillion economy with them.
No,
So
no.
I would say that we are a star in the making.
Yeah.
We are something that in a couple of years everybody is fearing India. So everybody is saying this century is India's century. Why?
Mm.
We know it because we can see that yes, there is somebody who's taking us forward. That this government, I'll not put it all on the prime minister. I'll say this whole entire government has to be given credit. They're taking us forward.
Yeah.
In last 3 10 years, we have seen radical changes with
In the
respect to
last 10
women
years, we have
empowerment.
seen
We have
a lot
seen
of changes
everywhere,
happening. Yeah.
everywhere. I'll say with respect to women empowerment, we have seen triple talaq revocation that has also happened. It all has been annulled. So is that not development? I say yes, that is development.
Mm.
Can development only mean that if India and Pakistan are having good relations, that means we are having good foreign relations? No. Yes, there are tensions. If that is the question, that yes, there are tensions, that is completely taken. But why there are tensions? Because now we are making it a complete free battlefield.
Mm.
India is an undivided, I use the word abhin ang hai Jammu Kashmir hamara. You
Yes.
want to say it this way or that way, I'll not
Mm.
beat around the bush. I'll say Jammu and Kashmir is a part of our country. This is the notion that has been clarified by the Supreme Court, by the government, by revocation of 370. Now, Pakistan wants to understand it in 2024, good for them. They want to understand in 2050, good for them. They don't want to understand, they want to fight, they fight. But we
Hmm.
will not stop from,
Yes.
by the fear that this has happened, by the fear that one fine day we might lose Jammu and Kashmir, so we should give them this autonomous entity forever. That has gone for a toss now. They are
Yeah.
no autonomous body, they're a part of us.
Definitely. So now there's one big question. Leading news portals such as NDTV, like one, have also gone to formulate their opinions about the issue. And since media is considered as the fourth pillar, how much do you think the portrayal and influence of media impact issues of such magnitude? So basically, the question is how the media influence has been on this matter.
Sorry, can you please come again? I just
Hello.
lost you in between.
Hello.
Yes, please, can you please come again?
Yeah. So I was saying the question short is how the media influence has worked in this matter. That is.
See, obviously, I would say media has played a very huge impact in this entire revocation of 370 for the, I would say, to say the least. They have actually acted as the fourth pillar in this revocation. How? Because had this not been the case, we wouldn't have known that how the people over there are actually
Yeah.
seeing this 370.
Yeah.
I even mentioned it a couple of minutes ago that you
Mm.
read the newspapers, right?
Mm.
You watch television, you watch news, you watch everything. So what do you get to know from that? You get to know yes, the people are supporting this effort of the government. They're not denying it. They're simply saying we are getting benefited, we want to get benefited. It's
Mm.
just that there are 3 to 4 families who are trying to rule this state and they don't want the outside world to have a look inside the state
Mm.
because they have closed all doors. So media has actually barged open those doors. They
Mm.
went inside Jammu and Kashmir. They have actually broadcasted what goes inside Jammu and Kashmir pre 370, or I would say pre revocation period, post
Mm.
revocation period.
Yeah.
And with this comparison now we can understand how the state is getting benefited.
Mm.
Otherwise it was all in a state of dark we were making decisions.
Yeah.
So this media has helped us to actually look into the state affairs, how
Mm.
the state is getting affected. And
Mm.
see, had there been prosperity all over the place, this
Mm.
revocation, I am pretty sure that this might would have been postponed by another 50 years.
Mm.
But since they were going into deeper and darker, I would say living hell. So
Mm.
since the commercial angle was blasted, like tourism was again affected. Like I'll again repeat all those things. So for the sake of brevity, I'm not repeating it, but you can just take it out that they were actually going downhill. So
Mm.
the government decided it to the matter escalated because they were going downhill, and there was a lot of scope that was there in Jammu and Kashmir. So
Mm.
media actually barged open those doors which were actually not available to us otherwise.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, like, I think there were some times where in Jammu and Kashmir there was totally no access to internet,
Yeah,
and such reports also it was discovered like the entire country knew what was happening in Jammu Kashmir because of the
true.
media.
True.
So I think they have a very important role to play in whatever this verdict has come up. Like a lot of
Absolutely
support has been there from media as well.
true.
So now, okay, so many questions. So we have one more question. Northeast Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Telangana also have special status. How special status of these states is different from special status that was in Jammu Kashmir? Okay.
Correct. See, you have to understand with respect to the Seven Sisters and Jammu and Kashmir, the enemy has been different. So the enemy we had been fighting in Jammu and Kashmir was Pakistan. The enemy that has been in picture for these Seven Sisters was China. So there have been incidents of Ladakh, Tibet being included by China, and there have been incidents wherein infiltrants have actually gotten into Kashmir, and there have been unrest. So the difference between both, and now I simply say that even terrorism of Naxalites here, and then there are terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir has also been the case. But yet again, I would say with respect to the special status, that all starts with the first page of every single barrack that we read. We all are lawyers, and we better know the barracks. So the first page of every barrack says that the exception is only with respect to Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah.
The Parliament of India has the right to make laws with respect to the entire country, but it was only with respect to Jammu and Kashmir that these laws have to be consented by their local assembly. But that is not the case for other states. So with government became powerless when it came to Jammu and Kashmir because of this Article 370. By this revocation, they have again regained their powers to make this whole country progress. But until that time, it was only the rest of the country that was there in their control. Jammu and Kashmir, they were supposed to take their consent that should I develop you? Can I develop you? Can I make laws to develop you? That is definitely not the case with all other
Yeah.
states.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, okay. Yeah, there's another question. Do you feel there is any hidden political agendas which is affecting the legal fraternity of the country? Okay.
See, that is a very that is a question that infuses a lot of political angle into this whole discussion.
Yeah.
But I would still, for the sake of answering, I'll say, see whether it is the reason was political, or whether the reason was logical, or whether the reason was in merits, or whether the intention was bona fide. I always see that it is not about. See, that is my way of looking at things. You don't see how somebody got motivated. Somebody's poverty might motivate him, somebody's background might motivate him, but you look at their results. Is the eventual result bringing good fortunes to the state? If the answer is yes, then it is all in good faith. Whatever has happened, it is all good. See, you cannot go inside, peep inside somebody's heart and say, okay, fine, he's looking because Hindutva has to be brought into the picture. If actually somebody is doing this under the garb of staying as a ruling party, I'll say, let's put it this way. Let's give a good angle to this, right?
Yeah.
Let's say if this entire concept, hypothetically speaking, if the ruling party is actually using this revocation of 370 and influencing the judiciary as well, which mind you is an independent entity even as per the Constitution of India. So like we all know that judiciary is completely distinct, right? It is a check and balance that has been maintained under the Constitution of India over all three bodies. So now if I say that even if somebody is doing it to impress the world, if that is his motivation,
Yeah.
is the eventual result not bringing good fortunes to Jammu and Kashmir, to the state of Jammu and Kashmir? If the answer is yes, then what's the
And
harm?
why not?
He is doing good deed to impress the world. Shouldn't this be done by all the other parties as well? Till the time they were into or I would say that whenever they were as the ruling party of this country, I'm not taking names, but I'm simply saying whosoever comes into power, this should have been done long ago. This should have been checked that if Jammu and Kashmir is actually benefiting itself from its autonomous or sovereign entity state,
Hmm.
then they should be given the opportunity to carry on. But if they are not getting benefited, it's better that you should fall back to the option that you revoke 370 and you bring in that state and you grow together. That should be the motto of the government.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, coming to the final question from the audience is that are there any ongoing initiatives or policies aimed at promoting employment and economic opportunities for the youth in Jammu and Kashmir?
See, I guess now the Lok Sabha is actually public for everybody, and we should actually listen to it, because
Yeah.
from there all these questions gets answered automatically. Even the Supreme
Mhm.
Court hearings are now public. So
Yeah.
why these are made public? Because these questions shouldn't happen. And
Hmm.
if this question has yet again come up, I would say that the people of this country still needs to know why things are made public by the government. So the
Hmm.
reason why Lok Sabha is public is for people to know that what is being decided and discussed about us.
Hmm.
And this question, mind you, has been discussed. So the ruling party has very clearly said that if you go to Jammu Kashmir now, celebrate 26th of January, celebrate 15th of August,
Hmm.
buy properties there, build commercial sites there,
Hmm.
build in tourism there, and the government will fully support you. The government is with you. If you are doing something for the betterment of the society, we are with you, including Jammu and Kashmir.
Hmm.
And if something stops you, our entire department, entire police department, the entire defense forces are with you if this is being hindered.
Hmm.
So, yes, there has been a good side to this, and these are the policies. See, it's all starts with an intent.
Hmm.
Right. Nobody can actually show the intent without actions. That I also
Yeah.
agree. But then those intent can be seen otherwise as well. Like we can see the intent that this could have stayed for another 5, 10, 20 more years. But
Hmm.
no, the government did not do that. They took up this issue on priority and they revoked it in a go. So
Hmm.
that's one. Now the second thing is that after revoking it, the order was upheld by the Supreme Court. That's number two. So
Yeah.
in a state of unrest, they couldn't have made policies. Even they would have made policies, that wouldn't have stayed
Hmm.
meritorious for that matter. So now the third thing is that after this is well settled, that yes, a statehood will be given. Now we have a good future coming up. We can see for ourselves what is going to happen in next couple of
Yeah.
years. September is not too far.
Yeah, definitely. So now the final few questions are coming, that are people happy that this Article 370 has been revoked or not? And even this is question directed to you as well, that what do you think about this? Like, was your like personal opinion on Article 370 to conclude?
Okay, so let's put in my perspective and people's perspective into it. So I can say on behalf of my fraternity, for that matter, the legal fraternity, that yes, the people who know the law, they knew this was coming, and this should have happened a
Hmm.
long ago. Right. I could see Jammu and Kashmir being affected, and this thing did not happen when I saw those documentaries, and it did not start when I saw those documentaries which got published last year or last year. It was long ago that I realized that this country is actually not doing justice to Jammu and Kashmir. Yeah. So my opinion is this should have happened long ago,
Yeah.
but जैसे कहते हैं देर आए दुरुस्त आए, so it happened in time and I'm happy that this happened, and it should have happened. And I would say if you go to Jammu and Kashmir now, you will see the difference. So not only we should be discussing on it a panel discussion, you should go to Jammu and Kashmir and realize that what
Yeah.
is the impact of it.
Hmm.
That will definitely boost their tourism.
Hmm.
That's one. And secondly, we'll see for ourselves. See, with these panel discussions, we can see all these panel discussions on YouTube and everywhere. But we should see for ourselves that yes, is it getting better or not? And
Hmm.
definitely, with I would say that the entire country being regarded as the fifth largest economy, and then you go to a state like Jammu and Kashmir and you see distress all around,
Hmm.
you will see that okay, fine, this 370 is not helping them.
Hmm.
If somebody is being given a distinct structure,
Yeah.
a distinct entity,
Mm.
and they are still reeling with poverty, and they're still reeling with the terrible impacts of terrorism,
Mm.
do you not feel that yes, if they are taken within the ambit of the country,
Mm.
to say the minimum, I would say they'll feel that yes, we are also a part of the fifth largest economy
Yeah.
and growing. So
Yeah.
that's more about my opinion, that yes, if the entire country is growing, with Jammu and Kashmir being included in the country by revocation of 370, that literally helps in every single bit.
Hmm. Definitely. So, yeah, so I think all the audience questions mostly are covered. And yeah, this was a great discussion, I think, talking about Supreme Court Article 370 and how was the decision impacted and how it had an impact on the country as well.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Advocate Rohit, for joining us for this panel discussion. It was very, very insightful.
Thank
And
you so
yeah,
much.
there are comments coming in uh, talking about this. So, yeah. And I hope you also had a great time, and I hope our
Absolutely.
audience also had a great time discussing and learning more about this.
It was rather about time that these discussions should happen thick and fast, because not only our Republic Day is very near, but
Yeah.
people should know about their country. We
Hmm.
have been ignoring this issue for quite some time, and now the demon had arrived, I would say. So if we wouldn't have revoked 370, somebody would have taken away Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah.
Like, you can very well see that there are documentaries and there are information all over the place
Hmm.
that a new map of India has been designed, if you know. So they have shown their intent very clearly, and
Hmm.
with this 370 revocation, we have shown our intent very clearly,
Hmm.
that the more you're going to push us backwards, we are going to come in front. So
Fight
we
back.
have that buy-in force with us.
Hmm.
So it is about time that the youth of this country should know about these articles, about the Constitution of India, how Kashmir was getting badly affected by this autonomous entity. They were actually feeling secluded.
Hmm.
They were not feeling autonomous for sure.
No.
So now they're feeling a part of, yeah, we are being jacketed by, and we are being covered by a big country like India, and
Ah.
there is a good future coming up for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
And thank you to rest the case that you guys are holding such nice discussions, so that people should be aware of the topics that are coming in,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the topics that are actually catching the heat.
Yeah. Like everyone should be aware of what is exactly going on in
True,
the country.
true, true, true.
Okay, so then I hope everyone had a good time. And now we'll be ending the live stream then. Yeah.